Hey guys, it's Calzone, and this is the gear that I used on my 2019 PCT hike. My trusty pack was the ULA Circuit. This thing was bomb-proof, and I loved the features. The water bottle holsters were great, and I also picked up a shoulder pocket for easy access to my camera. I used a 1/8 inch Gossamer gear pad for sit breaks and to protect my inflatable pad from punctures, especially in the desert. I stored my food in this Sea to Summit dry bag. I can't forget the long handle titanium spoon. My food hanging kit included a DIY rock bag made of Tyvek and some Dynaglide cord with a small carabiner. Dynaglide is decently light and doesn't get stuck in trees as easily. I didn't hang my food all that often, but I did use this when I was camping in areas with reports of bear activity. My cooking kit was the GSI Halulite Minimalist set. The lid fits snugly like a mug, or you can flip it over for cooking. Inside, I kept a backup lighter, a bandana, and my stove. This thing was my favorite budget item. It's an Icetech $8 stove from Amazon, and it worked like a champ. I could also fit a small fuel can and the mini pot grippy. And the pot grippy has a magnet to attach to the bottom of the can, so it all nests in there really easily. It's a great setup for making simple meals like ramen, nor pasta, mashed potatoes, or dehydrated food, and the cozy helped me save a lot of fuel as well. I kept hand sanitizer easily accessible on the outside of my pack, just for general use and for after going to the bathroom. For water capacity, I used the CNOC 2-liter Vecto. The zip opening is great for filling up. Usually I'd also bring some Smart Water or Life Water bottles, and I actually started in the desert with some Life Waters and 2-liter Evernew bladders, but I eventually had to replace them. My filter was the original Sawyer Squeeze, which I could screw on to either a water bladder or a bottle. I also made a scoop by cutting off the top of a Sawyer water bladder. The scoop came in handy quite a bit before I switched to the Vecto. And one random sentimental item that I carried with me and photographed along the way was this tiny little gnome from my friend. It was kind of fun. The Garmin Inreach Mini was a great investment for peace of mind, both for me and my family. I mostly used the preset messages, but being able to send some custom messages really came in handy for me a few times. In my side pocket, I stashed my tent poles and stakes. My tent was the Big Agnes Fly Creek HVUL2, and overall it's a great tent. I replaced my stakes with MSR Mini Groundhogs as well, but my tent held up super well in wind and bad weather. Because my pack isn't waterproof, I carried an extra contractor bag to use as a pack cover. Definitely hiker trash, but it worked well. Besides snack storage, in my hip belt pockets I kept chapstick with SPF, my Opinel knife, which was great for cutting cheese and avocado and summer sausage. I also stashed my headphones in here, and sunglasses, my inhaler, and my phone. I used a Google Pixel 2, and it took great photos. One other thing I carried on the outside of my pack was my camp shoes, the Z Trail sandals from Zero Shoes. I love these, but I accidentally forgot them at a tent site near Stehekin, unfortunately. Here's my bathroom kit. Instead of a trowel, I just picked up a snow stake from REI for $3, and it was great. I usually reused a beef jerky bag or something similar for packing out any trash here, including TP, wipes, and any feminine products. My wind shirt was the Patagonia Houdini, a great active layer for when it's still cold. I also used this in tandem with my umbrella sometimes for the ultimate breathable rain gear. It was pretty great. And I ended the trail with my old Patagonia Torrent Shell rain jacket. It kept me dry and still had really good pit ventilation. It is a tad heavy though, so I used a yellow Frog Togs jacket for most of the trail until the holes got pretty bad in Oregon. I went through 2 headlamps on the trail and both had issues. My first was a Cree $11 headlamp from Amazon. It actually lasted me most of the trail, so it was a great value, but the seal on the battery compartment came loose and I would have to whack it just right to get the light to come on at the end. The red light was also pretty dim. I picked up a Black Diamond Storm at an REI garage sale, and after working well for about a week, it would randomly dim to about 1 lumen as I was night hiking, so not good. In the future, I'd pick up a Nightcore headlamp if I could do it again. So I organized stuff inside my pack with Ziplocs. It's ultra light, cheap, and it keeps everything dry. So here's my journaling kit, electronics, repair kit, first aid kit, and toiletries. I wore daily contacts on trail, carrying about a month's supply at a time, but I also kept a backup pair of glasses that I definitely needed a couple times. I lined my pack with a contractor bag and always kept my Puffy dry inside. This is the Mountain Hardware Ghost Whisperer. It's amazingly warm for the weight, and it was perfect for what I needed. I don't have a hood on my quilt, so the hood came in clutch here. So I stuffed my Fly Creek body and tent fly down into my pack to eliminate any wasted space. If it was wet, I'd put it on the outside of my pack, or at least outside the contractor bag. For some extra waterproofing redundancy, I stored my quilt, dry clothes, and pad inside this Neoair pump bag, and I rolled it down. I slipped into a stream one time up to my neck at one point, and it all still stayed dry, so it worked. Here's my clothes bag, my pad, the Neoair X-Lite Regular, Sea to Summit Aeros pillow, and my super cozy quilt, the Enlightened Equipment 10 Degree Enigma. Blowing up my sleeping pad is my least favorite camp chore, so having the pump bag really was a morale booster for me. I kept my clothes in the stuff sack I got with my EE quilt. My sleep socks are a pair of Darn Tough Crews, and I slept in this Paradox Quarter Zip Merino blend base layer. It's comfortable, but it was a bit thinner than I'd hoped, so I'd often just wear my Puffy to bed. Here's an extra pair of Ex Officio underwear and my Patagonia Capline mid-weight bottoms. The microgrid fleece inside these makes them so warm and cozy, and I loved putting them on at the end of the day. I tried a few different sock options and probably carried too many most of the time. Darn Toughs are great, but sadly I can't hike in them without Injinji liners or else I'll get blisters. The Injinji trail weight socks are my favorite. They're the perfect weight and allowed my toes to really spread out inside my shoes comfortably. And finally, these amazing pink laundry pants that I scored from the Warner Springs Community Center closet. They really upped my hiker cred, and I just wear them with my rain jacket while washing clothes. My journaling kit included this little moleskin that I used as a hiking log, and a sketchbook, and just a place to write my personal thoughts that I didn't want to publish on my blog. I also kept a tiny little New Testament, my PCT permits, Sharpies and pens, and some pencils in this little bag. I kept all my stuff charged with the RAV Power 20,000 milliamp power bank. It has Qualcomm Quick Charge, which really helped juice it up faster on shorter, narrow days in town. But you do have to carry a Qualcomm equipped wall charger and cable. So I had the Anker dual USB one. 2 ports on this was just fine for what I needed. In this smaller bag, I kept my cords, SD cards, and camera battery charger for my Canon. I actually sent home my extra camera battery since one was more than enough. I also kept an extra set of headlamp batteries in here too. My repair kit held my Thermarest patch kit, tenacious tape that I used several times, some extra guy line, rubber bands, an extra water bottle cap, and an O-ring in case my Sawyer had issues. I also kept dental floss and a needle in there to sew up rips in my clothes, and that seriously saved my pants a few times, not gonna lie. My first aid kit had the basic band-aids, antibiotic ointment, alcohol swabs, and a stable item though was Leukotape. It's the best for keeping blisters at bay. I also had a few larger gauze pads, KT tape, and a small Swiss Army knife with scissors and tweezers. And this green goo stuff also really helped my face after a bad face plant in the Cascades. It's got lavender oil, and you can use it on dry, cracked skin too. Moving on to toiletries, toothpaste, toothbrush, floss, and a favorite find of mine was this tiny and light little brush I picked up at Meijer. It's so cute. Earplugs are essential for those nights when you're camped near a lot of people, like at Kennedy Meadows or Warner Springs. Nail clippers. For contacts, I carried a Ziploc of right eye contacts and a Ziploc of left. They were a bit bulky, but I probably saved weight by doing that instead of a large thing of solution. Finally, I kept a little dropper of Castile soap for town and a little dropper of re-wetting eye drops. Alright, for the clothes I wore, we've got ex officio underwear, a super comfy Champion C9 sports bra from Target, and this lovely moisture wicking shirt from the thrift store. I don't think any dirt ever actually washed out of it. I started the trail in running shorts, and after burning my legs on day one, I switched to wearing these spandex shorts underneath my wind pants full time. These are from Big 5, and the dental floss stitching job really kept them going. I went through 2 pairs of wind pants. They're actually the $20 dance pants from Amazon. So lightweight and breathable, even on hot days. And of course, the buff. I forgot these in the video, but this picture shows my other super legit trail shirt from the thrift store, as well as my trusty quick dry hat. I started the trail also wearing a Columbia PFG fishing shirt, and it was super great. I loved it, but I treated it with permethrin in Oregon and it started to break down, so I had to get a new shirt. If you're wondering what kind of shoes I wore, I am an ultra girl. I know they don't work for everybody, but the Lone Peak 4.0s were my favorites. I also used the Cascade Mountain Tech carbon fiber trekking poles, and I really did love them. I used them pretty harshly, and I did have one break on me in a talus field, but it kind of got wedged and snapped, and I don't really feel like it was the pole's fault. It was kind of user error. So I just got another pair of these, and they worked really great. Finally, items I only carried part of the time. I used these waterproof socks in the Sierra, and they really helped my feet stay warm in the snow. This beanie I actually carried pretty much the whole way, and it was great. For the Sierra in Washington, I had these basic fleece touchscreen gloves along with a fleece neck warmer. I also added some hiking base layers. This base layer shirt is from Meijer and my favorite Champion C9 leggings. I really tore these up in the Sierra and I had to patch them with tenacious tape a couple times. And rain pants. I actually had a pair of black diamond rain pants for the Sierra that got holes, but I picked these up. They're just frog tog pants for the last stretch when the cold weather was moving in. Of course, I had to carry a bear can in the Sierra, so I stuck with the BV500. I used micro spikes for Mount San Jacinto and Baden Powell and up until Lone Pine, and then I decided I would pick up some Petzl leopard crampons for the big passes. These were great, but in snow-covered valleys or rocky sections, I kind of wish I still had my micro spikes. And I did carry my sun umbrella most of the way after I discovered I like having an umbrella for the rain. I'm also super pale, so it was a relief to have reliable shade. Finally, this is not the ice axe I used. I had the Camp Corsa, but I exchanged it for this Raven Pro after getting home. Mine wasn't quite long enough, and even though it worked well, this one's way more comfortable to hold with the right grip. Thanks for watching, friends. I hope this brought some joy to your quarantine. Take care, stay safe, and we'll be back out there before we know it.